Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Singapore Grand Prix, and as you can see it is raining pretty heavily. We've got those blue wool tyres on. It's pretty treacherous and it's the street circuit of Singapore, probably one of the most notorious, of course. Well, behind Monaco, but you know, is what it is. Welcome back. Round 8. We're just about to finish off the first half of the season here. Unfortunately, we don't have the championship contender of Nifo here today. Of course, he's going to miss out on some more points, unfortunately, to his teammate as he tried to make his way through the table. I can't quite remember, but is Sidewinder still in P2 in the championship? I'm not quite sure, but it's pretty mixed up at the moment. I'll tell you what though, Zingy is pretty far ahead, and Andrews has already got a win to his name in Japan, of course. That was as a reserve, so the points didn't go to Mercedes, but now he's a permanent driver. He's currently put it on pole position as he improves further and further. Now, what you can notice about wet weather conditions is you can keep going for laps and laps and laps and laps. Those tyres aren't going to wear out anytime soon, so you're going to have no problem with that. You just need to try and get those tyres up to temperature, get in a rhythm, be consistent, you'll be good to go. Let's see what Luke can do here in the other Mercedes. Can he push himself up ahead of Zingy for now? No, he can't. He's not improved on that lap at the moment. A 1 minute 55.3. That is a long lap. A long lap. And we're going to be going a bit into the 2 minute lap times, of course, and we've got, what is it, 35 laps, maybe 31, I can't quite remember. I think it's 31 actually. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go around the circuit of Singapore, but it is what it is. Heijden goes and sets a 56.8 as he pushes himself up ahead of Luke. We got Jordi in P5. He's joined and Sidewinder in P6 at the moment. We've got Egapro reserving as Pursoon in P8, as along with Ruleton and JJ, all as lower tier or reserve drivers. And then we have PJ, who's unfortunately retired from the session, so not entirely sure what or what happened there. We didn't see that, but it is what it is. Grosjean, we were well, I was actually thinking about crossplay earlier on, so hopefully we can get the Tuesday open lobbies back up soon. But unfortunately, crossplay isn't looking ideal still. We will consider it, and we will maybe do the summer season with crossplay on, and hopefully we can have it in the 2023 game if it's good enough. So we haven't given up, don't worry about that. But at the moment, it's not possible. PJ crashed on the pit lane entry without a wing. Classic. Ouch. That's not nice. That is not nice. Oh, nice. Razak, of course you can get in then. Of course you can get in. Luke goes across the line at 57.1. He's not able to improve any further up the grid. Heijden P3 going through the circuit. This is the championship leader, also nicknamed this circuit Singapore, as he is pretty good around here. It's one of his favourites. Can he get to grips with it today? Is he going to be able to try and challenge End Andrews? End Andrews, very good at this circuit, I know that for sure. He's not used to no ABS though, and especially in the wet conditions. That makes it very difficult for him, but at the moment, he's not doing too badly. 6 minutes left on the clock. Across the line we go, 54.7. Alrighty. And Andrew's back out on circuit once again to try and improve. I believe this is going to be an in-lap here for Zingy. Got a car ahead of him. We'll watch on board until the sector line just to see if he is going for another improvement lap or not. but I doubt it is going to be another fast lap. No, it will not be. He's going to go in, and Andrew's on his way for a final stint, I guess you could call it, in qualifying. You're not going to be going for one run at a time. You're going to be going for multiple laps on a stint. Now, Luke, is he on his way in? I'm not quite sure. He is on his way in, so he's not going to be going out again for a while. Jordi on an out lap at the moment, preparing himself to go one more time. Sidewinder invalidated, unfortunately, so they're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Eagle Pro, he actually... Oh, that is the Mercedes of... and Andrew's going off. He's on an out lap. Eagle Pro, he's got a missing front wing. Usually this has been a circuit that's been pretty good to him. Of course, back in Season 4 he got pole position, and he was pretty quick, and I think he was quick the season after as well, but unfortunately, he's not had amazing luck. He's not had amazing luck. At the moment, qualifying isn't seeming to go too well, but I'm sure we can find something later on. Never say never. As long as you can just stay consistent, you'll be absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Sidewinder gonna have another go. We got Jordi who's about to start their lap here. Let's see what they can do. They do have a car right behind them, as that's End Andrews. Not going to be waiting for anyone. He goes through. Jordi's going to have to take that now. There was a minor tap with the wall on End Andrews there, so that was a close call. I hope nothing's happened there, but yeah, interesting situation. Have to check that one later on. Now, let's see what we can find. Up through towards the kind of slightly drier section of the circuit, of course, as there's a bit of a roof which makes it a bit grippy. Very, very slidey regardless still on these wet wall tyres. You can see that they're grooves, so it does chuck the rain away, but it still makes it very, very difficult to find grip. They're carrying on through. Riding those curbs, you do have to try and ride them to gain some lap time, but they are extremely difficult to get right, as that is unfortunately a bit of an understeering moment, which isn't going to be ideal, and that is going to make it incredibly difficult to improve again, and he's going to have to wait for another opportunity. And Andrews currently in P2 at the moment. Remember to check in on the timer. 2 minutes on the clock almost. You're not going to get too many laps in. It's a long lap. You're not going to get too much in if you're not careful. Now, we'll have to wait and see. Alrighty, sorry for the issues, just having a check at the moment. Alrighty, we are good to go. End Andrews comes around the final corner. What can they do? This is going to be their penultimate run in qualifying, likely, unless they are going for a final run right here. And across the line, it's going to be a 2/10 improvement, a 55 almost to the 54s, but still just over 3/10 away from Zingy there. That's absolutely incredible. What a gap this guy has got. Ruleton, a 56.3. I didn't realize he just recently set that one. Zingy's decided to retire very early. Very, very early. Jordi also going to retire early from the session. They don't think they can improve anymore. Not too much time left on the clock, so that is going to be that done. Ruleton, could they improve? End Andrews, is he going to go for another lap here? We'll watch on board until the sector line, of course, and see. Luke, of course, is on track. He wants to try and find his way up the order a little bit more. He's had very, very, very tricky starts, pretty much out of his control throughout this season. So he really deserves a nice bit of luck, ideally. And Andrews comes through the complex of the middle sector. Used to be the Singapore Sling, not anymore. I think they kind of took it away. Into the hairpin we go. Nice bit of rotation. You've got to be really careful of it in the wet conditions, otherwise you are going to be dipping your wing into the wall and snapping it right off across the sector line. That's going to be a 2/10 down moment. It's not going to help. JJ's having some real problems, which isn't ideal. Rillaton, is he going to get an improvement here? We'll watch on board to the sector line and see if they can, but it looks like they aren't going to be improving. And then we'll have to go and see with Luke, I believe, or Haj actually, who might cross the line. No, I think one of the Mercedes is going to cross the line before. That's not going to be an improvement for them at all. We've got Andrews, who, if he can improve, then fair enough, but he was 2 tenths down earlier on. He's going to go across the line to finish the session. He's not going to be able to improve. Maybe get one more lap in. We'll have to wait and see. Luke sits in P6 at the moment. One final time. He's going to cross the line. Is he going to go to the pit lane? Has he made mistakes before? No. He will finish this lap. What can he do? Where can he put himself to start this race? He can put himself into a P4. That's respectable at the end of the session. A lot of pressure right there. Now, we have Haj, who's going to try and set his final lap time. Let's see what they can do. A bit squirmy, but now into the final corner they go, riding that curve slowly on the throttle. Be careful, be careful. And they do improve by a tenth, but it's not enough to improve position-wise. We've got Sidewinder. Igor's going to be after Sidewinder. Pursuit has kindly asked us to not check his onboards. So for qualifying at least, we're not going to. We're going to respect that, as we do have an invalidation from Rillaton, unfortunately, and that is going to be, yeah, that's their qualifying session over. Alrighty. Sidewinder, P6, round the final corner. What's it going to be for him? Across the line. And it will be a 6/10 improvement ahead of Luke. Brilliant, brilliant job there. Demotes Luke down the order, and his teammate, of course, as well. Eager Pro and Validator this lap. Just giving us a bit of a show. That's going to be qualifying done. That is Zengi on pole position, followed by Andrews and Rillaton in P3. Zingy and Andrews top 2. No surprise. They are very, 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 very good at this circuit, both of them. Zingy, he just has more experience without ABS and without ABS in the wet conditions, of course. Zingy takes pole position and Andrews in P2. Then we've got Rillaton sitting in P3. This is the rest of the grid, and then we'll skim through the race director just in case for later on, and we'll see you in a bit. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's gonna get it into turn 1? That is JJ's AI jumping the start. That's gonna be a little bit distracting, but we're finally away. Zingy gets away well, as usual. That's Rillaton up into P2 immediately. Haj on the inside, taking a very tight line. That's gonna be Luke trying to get the better of it, but is it going to be possible? Very, very tight between them, but that is Luke staying ahead of the Red Bull. Haj loses a position momentarily to Yordies. He's now on the inside. He should have the advantage here. Very, very squirmy. That's a front wing lost by somebody. I don't quite know who. That is someone off in the background. That will be PJ. Unfortunately, Jordi gets ahead. That's Heisler having to slot in behind. Egapro managed to jump both of these guys. Now he's got Sidewinder in his sights. Is that going to be possible? Side by side. That is Rullaton and End Andrews. End Andrews trying to get back everything he possibly can. He's lost that P2 to Rullaton off the line. Rullaton doing an amazing job there. And now Luke finally gets a good start to this race. He's now in P5. Oh, no. JJ is out of this race. I don't know if that was AI or not, but that's a virtual safety car immediately. That's going to cause everybody to slow down a little bit. They do have a chance to relax a little bit as well. That is, interestingly, a full safety car deployed right after. So we're going to have some interesting situations to consider here. Is anybody going to go for a pit stop? Are they going to try and go for just one lap fresher tyres to try and go to the end of the race a little bit easier? Is it really worth it? Probably not, to be honest. Zingy still leads the way after lap 1, or when we finish lap 1. Rullaton jumping to P2, and Andrew's going to try and find his way back through eventually, but it's not exactly easy in the wet conditions. We got Luke in P4, Sidewinder, Egapro, Heisler, Jordi, Passoon, and PJ. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw some sort of front wing damage from somebody, but I'm not quite sure. That is Jordi into the pit lane, so I guess it was Jordi. Yes, he has got a front end plate missing on the left-hand side. So, unfortunately, he's going to have to take a little bit of an early pit stop, and that'll be a fresher set of wet tyres. Maybe that'll be a benefit later on, you know. He doesn't have track position, of course, but if he does have a bit more tyre life, he could go to the end pretty easily. Everybody else, they should be able to get to the end pretty easily anyway, so I don't think there's going to be any pit stops required. But you never know. It could switch up. It could switch up. I think if there's big enough gaps between certain cars, of course, we will see some pit stops just for safety. But as long as you don't make mistakes, you can keep the pressure on the car ahead, and you're going to be good to go. Rullaton getting that great start. End Andrews was plagued by that, and after his pretty good performance in qualifying, he's going to want to try and jump through as soon as possible. You know, it's very difficult to overtake, and Zingy's going to be very, very hard to catch. So it's going to be a crucial moment in this race for him to try and get a move done. It's very possible because obviously you're all bunched up. It's a safety car restart, but it's going to make everything a little bit more stressful, and possibly mistakes could be made. Alrighty. Strategy, pretty much standard. Pit stops, not required. Potentially, of course. I'm not going to confirm it for sure. But some people will try and go to the end. Some people will definitely go to the end. But they're going to be very slow to the end of the race. Safety car will not be going in this lap. So could we see some drivers pitting at the end of this lap? Jordi's yet to catch up. So it is a potential idea. I don't know who would want to go for it. You've got maybe PJ, maybe Passoon, Heisler. They could possibly go for something to have 2 laps fresher. That is a Red Bull going into the pit lane right there. Who is that? That looks like it is none of them. I thought one of the Red Bulls was going to the inside. Maybe they were just warming up their tyres, trying to keep them warm. In the wet conditions, that's kind of what you have to do, to be honest. It's so hard to weave and warm up your tyres that they're just trying to constantly keep temperature in them. Otherwise, it's not really going to be too easy. Jordi will catch up at the end of this lap, and we will be going racing on lap 4 out of 31 once again. And it's going to be a long old race, guys. It's going to be a very, very long race. It'll be a very, very, very good test of consistency and focus. And whoever is able to manage that nicely, they will be able to score big time. And that would be pretty nice for the championship, of course. So, yeah, round 8, we've quite a way through the season, but still a long way to go at the same time. Just got to try and stay in it, put that pressure on, wait for your competitors to make mistakes, and that is where you will gain big points, possibly even a podium. Time will tell. This is going to be very, very treacherous for all drivers, and yeah, many, many mistakes can be made by literally anyone on the grid. We'll have to wait and see. I think he's going to be the one to lead the way. He's very good in safety car restarts, we know that for sure. Can he get the job done? That is the question. Safety car is in this lap. And we will go racing once again in Singapore. Now, the safety car has got a long way to go into that pit lane. He's got to go through a couple right and left-handers in order to get there, and then you can only restart once he's heading to the pit lane. You can go a little bit earlier, but it's safer because of that pit limiter. And that pit limiter has caught so many drivers out in the past at this circuit. So that is something that we've got to watch out for. The reflections on the track are going to be very, very distracting. Just another thing to add to the treacherous conditions of this race. Now, Zingy, he's already seemed to have gone for it, maybe. Yes, he has. But the safety car limiter kind of caught to him. But no, it's not enough. Everybody else had limiters as well. There's a car in the background who got a terrible start. And that looks like Luke, who unfortunately got caught out by the limiter. And that is going to be him losing out big time. Other cars had to try and sit behind as well. That's PJ taking it to the pit lane, unfortunately, after that one. I don't know quite what happened, but that is now going to be the top 3 with no pressure, and they can run away. Sidewinder right behind Luke here, and he's going to want to try and get something back from this, unless he's just going to try and stick with Luke. He knows Luke is quick, so it could be an idea, but that did switch things up a big time there. Big time. On the inside line, Luke is ahead. He's way too far ahead for any kind of move. That is Haj going to the outside line, but is not going to have any chance of going for a move on that Aston Martin. The Aston Martin right there, you're already going very, very sideways. Not going to be able to do anything. That's the Red Bull taking a slightly different line. I think they must have locked up. Yordi tried to get something, but they weren't able to. And that is Yordi going to go to the inside line and make 2 positions in 1 corner. That is absolutely incredible. What a drive there. And that is Hyde finally getting through as they go through the technical part of the circuit just about. Egapro all of a sudden just had a couple of bad corners, and that was enough to string a couple moves. For the cars behind, Pursoon isn't looking too bad, to be honest, behind. Are they going to be able to have a go at a move? Looks like they will have a look at possibly challenging to the inside line, maybe. No, they're going to have to sit behind and wait. That was an absolutely incredible move right there from them. Now, looking to the top 3, we've got End Andrews looking very, very racy with Rillaton. Can't find a way through yet, and that's a 2.5 second gap that Zingy has at the end of the first lap of this race. Yes, the first lap of this restart, I should say. Now, End Andrews got to be very creative. He's got a couple of straights here to try and line up a move, but he's going to have to be smooth on the throttle like butter. Like there's an eggshell underneath that throttle, but it's not really going to be that easy. Rillaton on that controller, you can say there's a little bit of an advantage on exits. Corners, not so much, because it's very, very difficult for them, especially around a circuit like this, but he does have a slight advantage on the exits. As you can see, gapping End Andrews is going to be incredibly difficult. End Andrews is going to have to use the corners to his advantage and try and go for some sort of send potentially. He gets a very nice entry, carries a lot of momentum. Would he go for a bit of a dive? No. He does need to try and find a way through, and unfortunately, the situation he's in, he might have to look for some pretty risky opportunities. It's not what you always want to go for, of course, but sometimes you have to make that sacrifice and hope that it pays off. Will End Andrews go for it? And if he does, when will he go for it? Maybe into the hairpin if he can spot a mistake from Rillaton. That is the question. If Rillerton makes a mistake, then he'll be able to capitalize. So as long as that Ferrari doesn't make any major mistakes, he'll probably be able to defend from Anders. Anders pretty close, not close enough to get that run. He slowly but surely matches the pace of that Ferrari, but he's a bit too far back to go for a move, especially on lap 5 out of 31. Such a long race. You don't really need to push too hard. Although that is now a 3-second gap that Rillerton has got between themselves and Zingy. It's not looking too easy for End Andrews right now. We've got Luke and Sidewinder pretty close to one another. Jordi is catching up to them nicely. He's already within 1 second of the 2 cars ahead. He's got a lot of pace in that car that we've seen throughout the season so far. That is Zingy going for a fastest lap, and Andrews just trying to ask Rillerton to get out the way. You're slowing me down, but Rillerton doesn't need to budge. He's racing for position, and he's doing a very good job at doing so. I thought there was a mistake there, but luckily Rillerton does manage to keep the position. For his sake, that is. And Andrews is trying to find anything he possibly can. Got a pretty good exit this time. Can he get a good enough run towards the end of the straight? He's got a lot of momentum. Rillerton goes defensive, though. It's not going to be too easy. He needs to try and set a move up. Within a couple of corners, string it together. And that's his best chance at getting something done. But it's so hard. That momentum was absolutely insane. Even though it didn't look that good, it was pretty impressive. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. That is Jordi, unfortunately, round. That is going to be a virtual safety car. And a couple positions gained from some of the drivers. Jordi, just a little bit of a mistake. And he's left the session. That is a front wing gone, unfortunately. And that is him out. Will, unless he's going to rejoin, be classed as a DSC. Not ideal, and it's not the way we want it to go. But unfortunately, that's maybe the way it goes. Now, this is an opportunity for many drivers to capitalize. You know, if you can secure a good virtual safety car restart, you can gain a lot on that delta compared to the other car, as long as that other car doesn't gain as much, of course, according to you. Thingy leads the way by just over 4 seconds. The safety car is now gone, and the cars behind are going to catch up, but End Andrews loses out big time to Rillerton. Rillerton played that to perfection there, gained a massive amount of time, 7/10 to Zingy, and a big chunk of time to help him relax a little bit from End Andrews, so that is a perfect moment there for him. Luke holding on to Sidewinder. Sidewinder is right there, not in a position to make an overtake, a little bit like End Andrews, but still keeping that pressure on. If there is a mistake from Luke, Sidewinder will be on him. He will have a look pretty quickly. As you can see, a very different line taken by both drivers as they try and get some sort of an advantage. That is what you have to do in these wet conditions. We got Pursoon in P8 at the moment. He's still looking pretty quick and trying to have a go at Eager Pro somewhat, but he can't find a way through just yet. Looking so close, as he's now going to get a pretty good exit. He had the momentum, but a little bit too eager on the throttle as they got to the later part of the application of the throttle, and unfortunately a little bit too aggressive. That does lose them that opportunity to make an overtake, and they're going to have to try and build up that gap once again. Luke is still under threat from Sidewinder. He's not going anywhere. He's actually gained a little bit. The gap is fluctuating. It's pretty hard to follow in the wet conditions, so that would be why. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully no one makes a mistake and we'll be good to go. And Andrews 1/10 behind Rillerton, but not in a good enough position to make an overtake. They were so close, so on that mini straight wasn't enough. Into the arguably stronger section of the circuit for End Andrews as he goes a little bit loosey-goosey on the rear. Still can't find a way through on the Ferrari. That Ferrari's looking pretty wise. It's hard enough to overtake at this circuit in the dry, and if this is your strongest part of the circuit, it's going to be really difficult to get some sort of advantage. If you have clean air, you'll be good to go, but if not, as you can see by Zingy. If not, you're going to struggle a lot. That's a mistake there for Rillaton. He's going to have to go defensive, and Andrew's going to go to the outside line. Force the Ferrari to take an awkward line into turn 2. He's now going to open up the inside into turn 3. Will he be able to get this done? Into 4 and 5 now. Let's see. He's once again to the inside line, trying to take the racing line, but it's going to be a little bit compromised on the exit. Will he have the advantage? No. Onto the inside line now, Zend Andrews. Is he going to have to lift? He doesn't seem to. Now to the outside line. Does he have the advantage? He swoops around. What a move. Will he be able to keep it, though? That's the question. Rillaton is ahead. He now's the outside line, though, so it's not exactly easy. Now back to the inside. Oh, and Andrew's so close to the walls. He tries to leave everything to Rillaton. I think he has the momentum. He kept it as far as he could to the outside, put the throttle on a little bit earlier, and that is how you make an overtake at Singapore in the rain. Brilliant stuff. Rillaton still right there, but wow, that was an epic move as he's on the edge. You can see drifting through the corners to try and make sure he secures that move, and he is through. That is a brilliant job. Look at that gap. He's now got clean air, been released. Let's see, 5.9 seconds is the gap between him and Zingy. Will he be able to try and close that down, or is Zingy just too quick today? And also, later on, as we go further into this race, you can lose concentration. Will Zingy possibly be caught up on that? For his sake, I hope not, but it's very, very possible. You know, we've seen it in the past, especially if you're really far ahead in a race, of course. It's easy to drop the car. Very, very easy to drop the car. Sidewinder still can't find a way through, and Andrews just made that move on Rillaton. Whereas Luke and Andrew's teammate, he's got to do a defensive job right now, although the gap isn't really small enough for any kind of threatening maneuver. So he's just sat there at this stage of the race, waiting, carrying on through this race. P5, 10 points on the table for Sidewinder as it stands, but, you know, he's not really going to want to settle for that. He's not doing too badly in the championships. At any point will be useful, of course. Look at that gap close, and Andrews does seem to have a lot of pace in that car. He is slowly catching to this man who is running in P1, Zingy. A very, very, very comfortable lead. He can relax a little bit here. Now, yes, and Andrews has closed up. Maybe we'll see that gap close up a little bit more, but Zingy, he's got that 5-second gap. We could potentially see that gap maintain itself. Will Zingy want to just control the pace? That's the question. He might want to just control the pace. Maybe Andrews is going to get there. You never know. We'll only be able to find out within about 3 laps. You know, if that gap keeps going down and down and down, then you can see Andrews might be able to battle Zingy here. But if he maintains that gap and just keeps it controlled, he's going to be able to, you know, focus on not going too fast, but not too slowly, of course, at the same time. And it would probably make Andrews pretty frustrated, of course. Andrews making a slight mistake, as that was Zingy going very sideways. I didn't mean to switch the camera just then, but that is Andrews trying to catch, but he's lost quite a lot of time. He got it to 4.9 seconds, and then Zingy's pretty much got 9/10 on him back immediately. So, yeah, one little mistake in the wet conditions is going to lose you a lot of time overall. It's so difficult to get back on the throttle after a bit of a moment. And that is proving exactly what you can find. So that pace is pretty good. But Zingy, he's got a lot of consistency, even if he was a little bit sideways just a moment ago. Sidewinder 3/10 behind. He's got a couple of good corner entries, but on the exit, Luke is doing very, very well and consistently well as well, which just prevents you from going for any kind of overtake as you go under the, I guess you could say, bridge section. It gives you a little bit of dry tarmac, which would heat up your tyres a little bit. Not that you really want that as Singapore, especially, because Singapore is very, very difficult for tyre temperatures. Although it is the wet conditions, they'll cool down a lot more. Don't really have too much experience in the wet conditions at Singapore. Only really enters and dries. Dries, they are notorious for overheating. So I assume it's pretty much the same for a set of wet conditions. Tyre-wise, you'd want to run pretty low pressures anyway, because in the wet conditions, that lower pressure will give you a bit more extra grip. Very, very good into the entry of the hairpin is Sidewinder. On the exit, however, Luke taking some very creative lines. It allows him to get onto that throttle and secure or reduce any kind of threat. So, yeah, doing a very good job at the moment so far. That is a yellow, and that is unfortunately Pursoon making a slight mistake, as he was fairly close to Igapro earlier on. The gap extended a little bit, and unfortunately, it's not really closing back too much. Still, lap 11 out of 31, 20 laps to go in this race. About 21 laps, just a little bit lower maybe, will be good to go. And Andrew's going, putting in a fastest lap of the race. That is very, very good to see. He is pushing. He's got that gap once again slowly down. We'll see what Zingy has to say about that. He's noticed, and Andrew's just gone for fastest lap. Will he want to try and get that back? A big mistake there from Sidewinder. Good job for him to actually keep that going, and also not really lose too much time. He lost about 2 cents. Maybe he's going to make it 3 as he gets around this corner. The momentum might have been lost, but no. Gets that back to 7. So, you know, that mistake not really phasing him too much. Just a little bit of fun, I guess you could call it. That's the way you got to look at it, really. 4.7 seconds is the gap now to End Andrews and Zingy. End Andrews is on a mission at the moment. He's going to put that fastest lap in. Zingy, like I said, within the next lap, he might want to try and get that fastest lap back to just make sure that he lets End Andrews know where he should be in P2. But will he be able to fight for it? And of course, these tyres, we shouldn't be going into the pit lane, so they're not going to get any fresher. The cars are going to get lighter, so you're going to have to find a balance on whether the tyres are worn down or the car's light enough to go for fastest lap. You know, it might be a little bit too late to go for fastest lap if the tyres are dead. It might be a little bit too early if the car's a little bit too heavy. 4.3 seconds is the gap that Zingy has to End Andrews. So End Andrews is slowly putting that pressure on and escaping, of course, the Rillaton as well. So doing a very good job. That is a safety car. And that is someone, unfortunately, making a mistake. But I don't know who. Zingy going to take it into the pit lane. End Andrews will lead this race. Zingy pitting for fresh tyres. That's not a bad idea. He's got to hope that everybody follows. Rillaton is going to follow. Oh, no, no, no. And Andrews is going to have no one in between, and that's not what he wants at all. Luke, P4. Doesn't look like there's a safety car for him. Sidewinder is not in trouble. Does somebody have a front wing problem? Does it occur on anyone's car? It's PJ's car. The PJ has made a slight mistake. That does bring the safety car out. It is going to allow him to catch up a little bit, to be honest. So, not too bad. He's going to go for that extra pit stop. Everybody else behind Zingy went for that pit stop. So, the only switch up here is End Andrews not pitting, taking the lead of this race. Zingy, obviously, he has a lot of pace in that car. Going to be right there. Going to have a nice advantage on those tyres. Maybe it's worth the risk from End Andrews. He's trying everything he possibly can, you know. He'll have that track position. Would he be able to do enough to defend, despite being on older tyres? He should be able to go to the end of the race, so I don't see why not. But it will just be so difficult. I don't really know what the pace disadvantage would be for worn tyres compared to wet, as they don't really wear too much. That's just how wet tyres work, you know. They don't really go off very quickly. You can go pretty long regardless of the situation. Depending on what track you're at, of course, you can go to the end. Sometimes you can't. We saw in France people trying to go all the way to the end on a set of intermediate tyres in the F1.5 EU tier. Some drivers made it. Some drivers got punctures. so they push those intermediate tyres to the limit. The wets should last a little bit longer, ideally, than a set of intermediate tyres. They have lower tyre temperatures, but you know, sometimes you can have some pretty significant wheel spin in wet conditions, so maybe that could be counteracted. This is our second safety car and our third yellow flag period of the race. Of course, we had our first safety car, virtual safety car, and now our second full safety car. Rillaton's going to be able to get that gap back up. Luke is going to have a bit of a second chance at getting a good safety car restart, which is crucial for him, of course. Sabine and Heichler, they obviously had to put pretty close to one another, so there could have been a mistake there, but Sidewinder seems to be the one that's missed out to Luke compared to Heichler missing out to Sidewinder, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. Is what it is, I guess, but he's going to be able to catch up regardless. That'll be absolutely fine for him. We'll have to see. Eager Pro retiring from the session under safety car conditions. We're going to watch on board with the AI of Yordi and see what happened there. He's been... got a bit of a correction as he's facing to the right-hand side of the circuit. So he's obviously corrected that car as he loses it. Probably on the corner before, he's either hit the curb, maybe just trying to go slowly under safety car conditions, and then lost it as they applied the throttle once again. So, yeah, very easily done. That is Eager Pro out of this race. No points for him today. Of course, if you finished the race, you would have been at least going away with 2 points in 9th place. Now, PJ sits in P8, so they're going to get 4 points as long as they finish this race, of course, because Yordi is a disconnected car. And Andrews leads the way for the Singapore Grand Prix. We're not going to be going racing until the next lap, at least, I would say. PJ should be able to catch up by then. He is in a Formula 1 car compared to the GT car that is controlling the pace after all. But time will tell, of course. Time will tell. Now, that safety car limiter really did affect things on the restart. It's made a big, big gap between the top three, which is not ideal, of course, because you can no longer really put pressure on the cars in front, and that person in P3 can take a little bit more of a risk, of course. They don't really need to worry too much. But yeah, it is what it is. That is Heish maybe taking it to the escape lane, is that? Yes, I believe he has done. He's gone into the escape lane right there. So, not ideal for him. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Luckily, he doesn't have to go into the pit lane. And he'll be absolutely fine. So, no worries at all. Alrighty, Pursoon does have that 3-second time penalty. It is under the safety car conditions, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can get it taken away. Obviously, in special circumstances, you might have a chance to get it removed, but usually we don't. You know, you're still gaining an advantage, even if it's slightly less of an advantage, and that is Luke retiring from the race under safety car conditions on the kink. What happened there? What happened there? I don't know if there was contact or if he just lost it. It's very easy to do so when the tyres are so cold and you're going so slowly. But that is a DNF on lap 14 out of 31 for Luke. One Mercedes left in this race. That is absolutely tragic. Luke, for once, finally gets a good start. But in the middle of the race, it's ended very, very quickly. And that is another DNF for one of the drivers that should have been challenging for the title. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, the season is still long. There's a long way to go. And he might be able to catch up. But it's not going to be easy. PJ's got the last few corners to try and catch up here, but the safety car's been called in. Everybody's going to have to react right now. And Andrews leads the way, and Zingy will be the one to react. You know, Zingy is the king of the safety car restart, so it's not going to be easy. But when will that safety car go in? When will it get to the pit lane, and when will Andrews restart? That is the question. He's got a little bit longer to wait until he can go for that restart, warming up the tyres just a little bit more. A little bit more. Now he might have a go at going for that restart. He's not gone for it yet. Now he's gone for it. He straightens up the car, puts the throttle down, gets a nice restart there on Zingy. Zingy wasn't able to react too well. It wasn't bad either. Rillaton losing out to the cars ahead. Sidewinder right behind it, but not close enough to get anything done. And that is Bassoon right behind there. Can he have a look? He had pretty good pace just earlier on in this race when he was following closely behind, but once he dropped behind, he just kept on going down the order. Sidewinder might have a look at a podium here. He now doesn't have to try and gain extra time on Rillaton. They don't have Luke ahead of them. They could possibly have a look at once again another podium. Is it going to be possible? They took a win to open this season, and they've got a golden opportunity here. That's Heisler going off the circuit as he tries to keep the momentum going to set something up on Bassoon. It's not easy. It's really, really not easy. So tough to get right. Waiting behind, but it's not going to work. We're going to go back with the top two as Andrews has got that major pressure from Zingy. What's Zingy going to do? Wait a little bit longer. You can see he's trying to push it as he aims to the outside of the circuit to open up the corner. You know, you might want to be a little bit more cautious in wet conditions just in case the car all of a sudden loses it. But no. He's gonna be right on the limit. He's there. He is so close. It's so difficult for Andrews to do anything here. He just needs to try and ignore the AlphaTauri behind him and not really worry about it. Everybody else right behind him, though, is on fresh tyres. As he makes a mistake, Zingy gonna go to the outside line. The space isn't gonna be there. He has to back off. And he's gonna find another opportunity eventually, I'm sure, on these tyres. But that was a close call, and Andrews just about keeping hold of this position to lead this race for another lap. Is it going to be possible to maintain it, though? I do not know. Zingy sits behind. Can he try and size up a move onto the straight? Maybe even before and force Andrews into a bit of an awkward line. That is the best way to really go for an overtake, because you put your rival at a disadvantage. But no, it's not going to be easy. Doesn't get a great restart, and that is going to be Zingy waiting once again for the time being, unless he's really nifty on the brakes. But I don't think from that far back you'd be able to do too much, to be honest. Riding those curves to try and get everything out of the lap you possibly can. In this situation for these guys, you do have to do that kind of stuff. And now we see these two having a bit of a gap. 1.3 seconds to them and Rillaton. Rillaton not too far away, but they've got Sidewinder closer to them. So there is a little bit of pressure for that Ferrari, which isn't going to be too easy to deal with. Bassoon and Heisler. Heisler not able to get past the Haas yet. Of course, Heisler right there. PJ back in this race. And we do have Jordi trying to get back up the order. They made a bit of a mistake on the safety car restart just as we're about to get going, but unfortunately that was that for the time being. Nothing was able to become of it. And Andrews still leads the way as he goes through. Lovely stuff. Riding that curb, you've got to be very confident to ride that curb right there. It can throw you off very easily if you take it slightly wrong. And it will probably end your race, to be honest. There's a little bit of lag there for Zingy. I don't know if there was contact with the wall or not, but yeah, a little bit of lag for Zingy. That's not what we want to see. We want to see a nice close battle, but he now loses quite a bit of time to the car ahead. Rillaton gains about 3/10 on him now. You can see Jordi so close. He tries to get a good run, but a little bit too eager once again, and that is going to be him losing that run. He's so close to making the move, and then it all of a sudden quickly goes away. You know he's got pace in that car. It's just out of reach. He now has a look to the inside line. PJ trying to defend, but it's too late. That is Jordi to the inside line, and it looks like he's got the advantage on the exit as well. Lovely job right there for him, and he's now going to try his best to catch up here to Heisler. Maybe he can have a look. Unfortunately for Heisler, the gap has kind of been a little bit wider than it was earlier on to himself and Pursuit. So Jordi will have a look and try and find an opportunity to make an overtake. But a mistake there for Jordi. He isn't taking the right line for that corner, and he will once again lose that run. But you know, he's very quick. You can see that different line gives him all the confidence. Would he even have a go into the hairpin? I don't think so. That gap isn't going to be enough, and with a mistake like that, it's going to be pretty much impossible. We'll have to wait and see. PJ trying to wait behind. He might be able to get in on this if he can try and spot an opportunity to maybe pick up the pieces. But that is going to be the order for now. Once again, we go on board with Andrews and Zingy. Zingy not able to find anything at the moment. Lap 17 out of 31. He's trying his best to hold on with these slightly older tyres. It's not exactly easy, but it's still possible to do so. It's very possible to do so. Riding that curb, wheeling over, that's not what you often see an F1 car do. But that's Andrews trying to give us a bit of a show. Zingy is following right behind Rillaton once again. He is right there. He's losing a little bit of time, but not too much. So if these guys do fight a little bit too hard, they'll be in trouble. Subwinder not exactly far away either, and that is Jordi now going for that move. Heisler goes to the outside line as he goes defensive. Is he going to be able to have the advantage? Heisler can't keep it there. PJ, would he want to have a look? I don't think he's going to be able to, unfortunately. He's going to have to sit behind. That is Heisler. Very squirmy, but PJ even more. And that will be that situation sorted. Brilliant move there for Jordi. He's now back up into P6, trying to make his way through the grid as soon as or best as he possibly can. Where will he end this race? Where will he end this race? Catching up to Pursuit pretty nicely. Pursuit just driving his own race at the moment. He's got that time penalty to worry about a little bit later, but with the big gaps that you seem to find in wet races, he might not have to worry too much. At the moment, he'd still lose the position to Heisler and probably to PJ, but we've still got a long way to go in this race, which would make an opportunity for him to be able to escape that 3-second range. But that is Jordi catching up already, almost into the wall as he tries to get that traction down. Not going to be too easy, and he's going to have to sit behind and wait. Missing the apex very slightly. Maybe it's just a wet racing line there for Pursuit. He's still going to stay ahead, so very good job to do that, because he's got a lot of confidence in the turn-in of this car in that McLaren. And he's now going to have a lot of confidence in the brakes, potentially. No. Backs off, lets it go, spooks Pursuit, and he will go through. Spots the opportunity. That is perfect for the McLaren. Unfortunately, Pursuit just reacting a little bit too much there from the McLaren. They thought they might have gone for a move, and then they realised not, but it was too late. They've missed their braking point, and that was that. Jordi will not have to see him again. He's going to be running away, trying to catch up to Sidewinder. Almost an 8-second gap, though, between these two. It's going to be a heck of a chance to try and catch up to him, and that is a big amount of lag there for Pursuit, and he loses those two positions, and that time penalty all of a sudden doesn't really make too much of a difference. Back with the top two now. Let's see what we can find. Another 3-second, unfortunately, for Pursuit. And Andrew's doing a phenomenal job with this, as he is just doing a bit of a defensive masterclass. Of course, Zingy maybe choosing not to go for any overtakes at the moment. We've still got a long way to go in this race, and it's so difficult. 2-minute lap times. It's not easy. It's really not easy. And you got to try and save a bit of energy. Not ERS, but just energy personally to be able to go for moves later on in this race. You'll get so tired from this. Let's actually have a look at the tyre situation, of course. There's the pit stops. We'll look at the tyre situation. And then we're also going to look at the fastest lap of the race. A 58.3. A 58.3. Okay, so that was their fastest laps. Now, they're slightly further into this race. Is that going to be quite the same? Don't think so. Watch at the top right hand of the screen and you will be able to see what the lap times are as we head around the final few corners. It might not be a 2-minute lap time, it might be a little bit closer than usual. Yes, it's a fastest lap from Zingy right there. A fastest lap from Zingy. Brilliant job. There you go. Okay, so it is a 58. I said we probably wouldn't. Yordi, a 58.1. Brilliant job. He's got a lot of clean air and he's able to push nicely. 2/10 quicker there. And look at the gap between Andrews and Zingy with fastest laps. That is very nice to see. Bassoon retires from the session in the pit lane. No safety car will be brought out. That is going to be that done. Lap 19 for Andrews on these tyres. Lap 20 out of 31 for the race. He hasn't pitted yet. And he's not going to intend on pitting. Zingy loses a little bit of a gap in the middle sector here, which isn't what he wants to see. He's on those more beneficial tyres. He's only going to get quicker compared to the car ahead, but he can't afford to make those mistakes, because as soon as he makes a mistake like that, and Andrews, he has a moment to relax, save the tyres a little bit more, and he'll have probably a less chance at getting a time penalty, of course. It's just the way things work, you know? But we'll see. We'll see. The game of patience. The game of patience. It's like an intense game of chess. Fun fact, Zingy, he's managed to get pretty good at chess recently. Will he be able to bring those skills into the world of Formula 1? Into league racing? I don't quite know. I don't quite know. You've got to think fast if you're definitely doing a quick match, and when you're driving a quick car, you've got to think probably even quicker. Now, and Andrews is doing a very good job. 7/10 at the moment. It's not as far as it was last lap, as he goes for a fastest lap of 57.6. He's picked it up a little bit. It doesn't matter that he's on these old tyres. He's picked it up very nicely. A 2-second gap to Rouleton and the top two. They've picked up the pace, both of them, pretty nicely. Sidewinder, P4, 5 seconds behind Rouleton. Still looking at a very good position here. Yordi, 3.3 seconds. He has done an incredible job. An incredible job. It was 8 seconds not too long ago, and he is trying his best to hunt down the guys ahead. It might be a little bit of a long stretch to try and go for a top two, maybe even a win, but it could be on the cards if he can keep this pace up to have a look at a podium. But it's going to be so tough to do so. Sidewinder is definitely going to be in reach, of course. Lap 21 out of 31. We've got about 9.5 laps left of this race to go, which wouldn't be too impossible according to his pace so far. So doing a very good job right now. Older tyres though, 15 laps, of course. And Andrews, he's not got the luxury of that big gap that he had just earlier on. It's not as small as it's been ever before, but 5/10. It wasn't like he had the biggest advantage. Bit of a muddle up with the words there, but regardless, he still leads this race. Goes through the tunnel section as you get a moment of dry asphalt, and it does give you a little bit more grip, but you've got to be so careful because the tyres themselves, they have water on them, so they're still very slippy. Lap 22 of the 31. Not looking too bad at the moment. Not looking too bad. 4 tenths behind. Zingy slowly reeling him back in after that mistake just earlier on. I say mistake, it might not have been, because, you know, Anders went and put that fastest lap in immediately. I do want to quickly apologise. I call him Anders a lot. That's just a nickname that I'm used to calling him in the past. I will try and get back to Andrews, because that's how he is displayed, of course. Andrews leads the way. 6 tenths. Manages to gain a little bit more on Zingy, but Zingy sends it and gets a little bit more time. Heischler getting a time penalty. That's going to put him vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable to PJ. PJ possibly going to be on a chance for an extra position at the end of the race. That would be an extra 2 points to his championship, and that would be very, very nice indeed. Now look at this guy, Jordi. He's definitely given us quite a bit of entertainment today. Sidewinder is just up ahead of him. He's not quite within 1 second range yet, but you know, he's very, very good around here, it seems. Almost getting that 1 second range. On the brakes, he'll probably be very, very strong. And on the exit, he might have a go at getting that to a 1 second range. 8 tenths, in fact. So gains about 2 tenths. Loses a little bit on the end of this section of the circuit, as that is a yellow for Heischler, and that is another full safety car. A full safety car. And Andrews will get a chance to pit in this race. Is he going to want to try it though? Because Zingy will get trap position. No, he's going to try and use this as a chance to instead save the tyres. He wants that trap position. He needs that trap position. Absolutely insane. Will Jordi go for a pit stop? I think they will. They have every opportunity. Yes, the pit lane is fairly long, but 21 seconds to the cars behind. He can gain nicely here. He can gain. The cars ahead, they'll be closer than ever. He might be able to have a look at a podium a bit more likely than it was earlier on. We don't have long to the end of this race now. We don't have long, and he will be able to have a look, especially being on fresher tyres. Yes, Zingy has an advantage over Andrews, but what an advantage Jordi will have over everybody. Everybody. Eight laps remaining of this race currently, I believe, if that's correct. Maybe not. 8.5 potentially. It's going to be very, very tricky. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a lot more work to do. You've got a lot more work to do. You've got to worry about the cars right behind. Time penalties are going to be pretty difficult to manage, of course. But yeah, the pressure will be a lot higher. Make a little mistake, you're going to be in big, big trouble, because the cars are nice and close to you. Nice and close is probably the wrong phrase to use if you are a driver, of course. And Andrews, you know, it's not what you exactly want, but it is a nice opportunity for him. He'll save the tyres. He has less laps to try and defend from Zingy. He has a chance to get a bit of a gap on the restart. As I said, Zingy's the king of safety car restarts. It's not going to be exactly easy, but that safety car tyre wear reduction could be enough to possibly win him this race. Potentially. Maybe. Will it happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Those tyres should be good to go to the end of this race. They should be pretty good to go. I'd like to say we're going to go racing at the end of this lap, but obviously there's quite a few corners around this circuit, so it's easier said than done to catch up to the safety car. So currently, it looks like we might be going racing on lap 25 out of 31, but time will tell. we do go racing at the end of this lap, we'll be going for a 6-lap race, which is pretty intense. Heischler seems to make a mistake out of the final corner, which does lose him a little bit of time, which could possibly mean that we might not go for a restart. If he does catch up enough to trigger the safety car restart to happen, then we could be good to go. He's got a nice bit of a straight here, whereas the safety car does have to navigate a couple of corners at this stage, so he might be alright, but time will tell, of course. 30 seconds was the gap just as the safety car entered the more technical part of the circuit. You gain 4 seconds through here, gain 5 seconds really, I should say. He's got to navigate a hairpin, does go up a bit of a straight, the safety car, so he'll still catch up Heisch, and of course he can go full throttle because the Delta line would have gone away from him. Now, and Andrews is going to back off a little bit, try and bunch up the grid. Heisch should be able to catch up here nicely, and we will be going racing for a 6-lap race of Singapore. No, 7-lap race. 7-lap race of Singapore. There you go. A nice little sprint, I guess you could call it. It's going to be very, very tough. We've got lots of different strategies right here. The lead car is on the oldest set of tyres. What's going to happen? Who will win the Singapore Grand Prix? And Andrews not going for it yet. Has he gone for it now? Not quite, not quite. There. He's gone for it. Gets the car in the straight line. Zingy reacts very, very well. He reacts well this time. Not going to be enough to make an overtake, but it's pretty good. That is PJ right behind Jordi. Not able to get such a good restart as that is Heisch, who won't be able to get close enough, but still in this race nevertheless. That's PJ having a look at the back. Oh, to the race leaders now. Zingy closer than ever. He really wants to try and go for it now. He knows the laps are running out and he will have to try and push for it. He's absolutely spamming the ERS to try and get any kind of advantage. There's no DRS. It's going to be so tough, and that is Jordi now going to the outside line on PJ. Is PJ going to miss his braking point? He does take an awkward line now to the outside. Will Jordi go? Is the space going to be left? No, he's going to have to back off, and that is going to be very, very tricky there. Jordi will have to wait a little bit longer. Does get a very, very slightly awkward line, PJ, but it's enough to stay ahead for now. Very, very tricky business at the moment. 3 tenths is the gap that Zingy has to End Andrews here. End Andrews has got a lot of pressure. Zingy also a lot of pressure on himself. He's got to find a way through. He's running out of laps. It's not going to be too easy. What is going to happen? 9 tenths between Sidewinder and Ruleton. Sidewinder really wants to have a look at the podium. Making a bit of an opportunity was Zingy. It wasn't available. As End Andrews noticed, he's not going to be able to get there in time. I don't need to leave the space. I will take the racing line. There's no need for me to do anything like that. I can sit behind for now and wait. Lap 24 on his tyres. It's not affecting him at all at the moment. Of course, Zingy does have a slight advantage, but he doesn't seem to care, End Andrews. He's not really thinking of that right now. He's thinking, I need to stay in the lead of this race to win this Grand Prix. Will Buxton, 2023. That is Jordi, still pretty close to the back of PJ, but it's so difficult to make an overtake. And he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. He gets a 3-second time penalty as he does try and push the limits pretty hard. It's not going to be easy. We're still going to watch on board with these guys for the time being to see what they can get done. Zingy will not be able to pressure anyone for now. Jordi getting a nice exit, but it's equalised by PJ. So the Alpine will stay ahead. He's doing a very good job to do so. It's not exactly easy. He's taking a very different line to Jordi. Jordi hitting that curb, which loses him a lot of time. There was a mistake there for PJ as well, but not really enough to be too much of a worry. Trying to make an opportunity by spooking PJ into going wide. It works, but he's lost a bit of traction himself. and he's going to have to sit behind once again. PJ is taking a heck of a send into that corner, and that is Geordie going for some sort of attempt at an overtake. That's going to be Heischel taking those two positions, and PJ is going to have to sit behind there. That was a very interesting attempt at a move. It didn't work in the end. He had to try something, you know. It's so difficult to get anything done. He did his best, but it didn't go to plan. I do want to say Zingy did have a 7/10 gap to end Andrews momentarily there. And he gets a 3-second time penalty! A 3-second time penalty! He had a 7/10 gap. Now, it doesn't matter if he's caught up because he's got a 3-second. And Andrews can relax and he can potentially win the Grand Prix. I do not believe it. That is absolutely incredible. I thought Zingy was surely going to have him on the final few laps. He's got a little bit more pace in that car, surely. With those tyres, it should be pretty simple, but no. It's not going to work. End Andrews now leads the Grand Prix. The car behind has a time penalty. It's not looking ideal. That is a very chaotic end to this race. We're not even at the end of this race. It's very crazy, but how the hell did that happen? That's going to be a virtual safety car to let everything relax. That's not what Zingy wants. That's not what he wants. He wants to try and break away from Rouleton to try and secure a P2, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. At 27 out of 31, we're going to be going for a virtual safety car restart pretty shortly. 6 cars remaining in this race. And Andrews leading the way. And he's got one hand on the trophy. It's his race to lose. Will those tyres hold up? He's had a couple of safety car occasions to be able to save the tyres a little bit, so they should have a pretty good chance at getting to the end of this race. Will we be going for the restart, and when will we be going for the restart? Right about now. A great exit from Zingy. Is he going to try and send it? No, he's going to have to wait for now. He will go for a late send. Space is left for End Andrews, but no, he's going to stay ahead. Oh, Zingy. He's really going to try and send it into the tunnel. End Andrews knows that he has the right to stay there, and he will hold on to the position. Now Zingy, back to the inside line, wants to get everything on this right now. There's contact. That is End Andrews going off the circuit. He still maintains the position, but Zingy, you can tell that that time penalty is legitimate. He needs to get ahead. He's pushing everything he possibly can to get ahead. End Andrews, a little bit of a knock there, and he went off the circuit. He couldn't really help it, and that is an interesting situation for him. Zingy now sitting right behind. Is it gonna be possible for him to win this race? Lap 28 out of 31. He gave it everything in that last sector to get ahead. He just needs to try and stay ahead or get ahead and then break away. It's not looking ideal. Now that fighting has only caused him to lose out more, and now he's looking at finishing in P4. Not even on the podium right now. Not even on the podium. Absolutely incredible stuff. End Andrews, all he needs to do, maybe not even hold Zingy back for too long. He just needs to try and hold him back until maybe the last 2 laps, maybe? I don't know. Probably a little bit longer would be optimal for him, of course. He wants to try and cross the line first overall, but that is absolutely insane. Zingy, it's going to be so difficult. And if he can't get through End Andrews, right now, it's not going to be possible to win this race at all. He got a perfect safety car restart, which allowed him to have a very good chance at going for a move on End Andrews, but unfortunately, it didn't quite go to plan, and that is going to be a massive headache. We got to check in on those tyres, though. End Andrews has done a phenomenal job on these tyres. Lap 27. He's about to start lap 28 for these tyres. They're going to be treacherous into the braking zone. So difficult. On the exits, pretty much dead. But He has everything in his hands. All the advantage is with him. Now, Zingy taking a very, very different line to try and get something on End Andrews. Find something as an advantage to get a move done. But at 29 out of 30, it's looking ever so unlikely for him to have a look here. Luckily for him, the two cars behind are slightly losing out. So he might be able to get back to a P3 here. If he plays his cards right, of course. So he's got to consider, do I fight End Andrews for the win? Or do I try and minimize time loss to the cars behind and secure a podium? That is something that he's really got to ask himself, because otherwise he's going to be in big, big trouble. He might have to try and sacrifice the win here. He might have to sacrifice the win. The last few laps of the Singapore Grand Prix, Rouleton sits behind. He's not going to be in a chance at winning this race for now. That is Zingy. You can see he's pushing everything he possibly can in that car, drifting it through the corners. Really wants to get the car rotated so he can get on that power and have a go at making a move. Even if he can just be ahead on track, he might have a chance here, but it's not looking ideal. He's now got a 2.5 second gap to himself, and Sidewinder is actually a little bit less than that right now. So it's not looking too bad in that regard, so he might be able to secure a P3. Is he going to try and consider that? Is he going to try and take the risk, or is it worth going for the lead of the race and then breaking away a little bit and hope that it's enough? The question is, will End Andrews be kind enough to let him go and realise I'll probably win this race anyway, or is he just going to keep holding him behind? For safety reasons, I'd say End Andrews is going to do everything in his power to hold Zingy behind, because you don't know what Zingy's got in that car. He's got only 18 laps on those tyres, so he's going to be good to go. He'll be able to push pretty hard compared to that Mercedes. So yeah, looking pretty nice for him at the moment. Zingy not able to make too much progress, however, on the time penalty gap to Sidewinder. He's made a little bit of progress, so it's a 1.6 second gap now, almost 7, I guess you could say. So he's got a little bit more time he needs to gain. Would End Andrews consider backing him up? I think that's probably the least of his worries. He doesn't really need to worry about that, to be honest. He's leading the race. He is leading the race. Currently, up for grabs constructor-wise is 22 points here for the Red Bull team, which would be absolutely crucial. It would be 21 points for End Andrews if he can hold this fastest lap, which could be very, very possible. He put an absolute stunner in just earlier on. So maybe, just maybe, he could get 21 points here, and that would be a maximum point scoring race for him. That would be perfect, and that would be his second win in this season, and his first win for Mercedes as a permanent driver, of course. And unfortunately, Sidewinder does make a couple mistakes, so that is going to be that podium out of reach. Still a P3 for Zingy as it stands. He's so close here. He is so close to End Andrews. It looks like he might try and consider going for a move to at least finish ahead on track. But is it going to be possible at all? I don't quite know. End Andrews is about to start the final lap of the race. He prays that his tyres hold up just one more time. And Zingy, he's just kind of sitting there. He can't really do too much, to be honest. Rouleton sitting in P3, knowing what he can gain here right now. Sidewinder, though, heartbreak as he was so close, makes a mistake, and that is going to be that done. He will not be in a position for a podium unless something happens on the final lap of this race. We'll have to wait and see. Heisler in P5 and PJ in P6. It's not what he wanted, but it's still decent points regardless. Staying in this race and just keeping your nerve has proved to get you quite a few points, for sure. He's got about just over half a lap to go of this race, and he will be able to secure another win this season. Zingy not looking close enough to make a move. I thought he was looking a little bit closer than that, honestly. In that final sector, seemingly his strongest sector, he was looking at possibly an overtake on End Andrews. It seems to be the final corner, however, is pro End Anders, and it's just enough for him to secure everything. Everything. It's just impossible for anything else to happen. End Andrews has got a couple more corners to go. It'll be virtually impossible for Zingy to make an overtake, as we saw earlier on, but he's in the wall! I do not believe it! I do not believe it! He's in the wall! Zingy is not going to finish this race! He'll still score points, but it doesn't matter! It doesn't matter! End Andrews has got a few more corners to go, and he's going to win at his favourite circuit, Singapore, in the night, in the rain, one of the hardest races ever. It's one of the longest races ever. He will be victorious. Absolutely incredible. Wow, wow, wow. Amazing. Ruleton takes a P2 and Sidewinder into P3. We'll have Heisler in P4 and PJ in P5. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely incredible. Wow. Heartbreak for Zingy. I do feel for him. That is not what we want to see. He's still going to score 8 points. But he doesn't care. Why would he care? He's just lost out on a podium. That is a crazy way to end the race. Good or bad, that was the Singapore Grand Prix. End Andrews wins. PJ with a driver of the day to stay in this and get back up the order. It's a very good job for him. And there's the griddy. End Andrews wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Ruleton in P2, Sidewinder, Heisler, PJ, and Zingy finishing in P6. DNFing was Jordi, Passoon, Luke, Igapro, and JJ earlier on in the race. We're going to look through the race director just in case if we need to a little bit later on, of course. And finally the pit stops as well for the same reason as the incident section. We will see you in a little bit for the post-race interviews, but that was incredible. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the Singapore Grand Prix. That was something that was pretty unexpected, to be honest. Yeah, no puncture. And a little bit of a crash, which changed things up. And Andrews, we start with you. That was one of the hardest races ever, and you've won it. Are you happy? I assume yes.
Well, of course I am. It was a great one, I can't lie. I was under pressure from Zinga the whole time, and, well, until the last few corners, of course. But it was quite hard, yeah. I can't feel my leg, so...
It was a long race. Did you have any doubts about staying out? You know, you got that track position, but were you worried about a puncture or not really?
No. I've done, like a week ago almost, I've done a full vet race around this track, alone in GP mode, and I knew I could make it till the end with like 76, 78, something between that. And, of course there were safety cars, so I knew I was gonna make it.
Saves the tyres a little bit more. Absolutely incredible. Really well done. I don't really know what to say. It was an amazing drive and one of the hardest races ever, and you've won it. So really, really well done. Maximum points for Mercedes. You carry good momentum into the Netherlands. Do you think you can do well there? Do you like that circuit?
It's my least favorite track on the game, probably. I haven't done more than 15 laps there, so not very excited.
Well, stay optimistic. Great momentum. That's what I'll say. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I'll go with it. Practice makes perfect.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Really well done. Absolutely incredible. And we move on to Heisler. Heisler. Points. Some decent points to stay in it. And actually, Red Bull have managed to score the most points on the entire grid collectively today. So, not too bad. Are you happy with that one?
Yeah, I'm happy, but I'm so tired. I drove nearly the whole race, like the most part of the race, with a broken front wing. Let me think. In the beginning, there was a safety car, if I'm correct.
Right.
Then somewhere in between the first and the second safety car, I got the right hand side of my front wing a little bit, not orange or yellow yet, but still a bit green-ish damage. So it was doable, but it cost me still a shit ton of time. And then it didn't change during the safety car because I'm stupid and didn't set it to yes.
Right.
And this game is stupid as well. And then I hit somewhere again the wall, which caused me to have the same amount of damage on the other side of the wing, which made it even worse whilst braking. I was locking up nearly everywhere. Don't know how I kept it on track. And then I spun coming out of the hairpin, lost my front wing, and somehow that caused the safety car. And I could pit for a new front wing, new tires, and that saved me. I somehow saved myself.
Yeah, I mean, still, it's an achievement to stay in the race, and especially with driving with damage, if you can keep it out the wall, that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, really, really well done, and well done to Red Bull. On to your home race next week. Do you like that circuit? Is it a strong one for you?
From previous experience, it's hard to say if it's a strong one for me. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I quite like driving that circuit, or it's just really flowing if you get the flow of it.
Yeah. Has it been raining in the Netherlands recently, or is it pretty dry at the moment?
Be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I don't go outside enough.
Fair enough. Well,
I can tell you, it's probably gonna snow.
Oh, okay. That's
snow.
Good news.
Wet snow, not hard snow. Wet snow.
That's good news. That's brilliant news. Thank you very much. One last question: how would you describe your race in 3 words?
Let me wait. I need to think about this. No. I'm tired.
I'm tired. Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you very much, Heist, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Go and look out a window. Alrighty, we move on to PJ. PJ, that was tough. That was tough. The safety cars definitely changed things up. Unfortunately, one of them decided to go way too early and didn't allow you to catch up. But, I mean, you still got it done. And finally, some good points. Are you happy with the ending of that race?
I am happy because I survived. It was all about surviving this race.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at this track. I'm bad at accelerating. And I'm bad in the rain. And today, those three things were combined. So I'm pretty happy that I survived.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that all those safety cars came out, because then I had the possibility to catch up and change front wing and stuff like this. So I was pretty lucky today.
Fair enough. I mean, you need to be in lucky situations to find luck. But, yeah, all those factors against you, maybe that's why you got driver of the day. So, yeah, well done.
Ooh.
On to the Netherlands. Do you like that circuit a bit more than
No.
Singapore? No?
No, I don't like Sandport. I don't
Maybe
know,
the back
because
corners are
it's
pretty
again
difficult.
so tight and so sketchy. And you
Yeah.
can't really overtake there, so I don't really like it.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, hopefully we can see at least some good points next time. Really good effort. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I fucking survived.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. And we move on to Rillaton. Rillaton, so close to getting to the cars ahead. A brilliant start, by the way. But
Thank
in the
you.
end, well, I mean, that's a P2. That's a P2.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest, because I only practiced a bit of dry, no wet, so I really didn't know where the grip was. Quali, I only managed to get 1 lap because I think I crashed on a cooldown lap, which was stupid.
Ouch.
The race, I just didn't have enough pace to beat Andrew or Siggy, so I was just, I don't know, I just had to sit behind and watch, and I wasn't really, and I was quicker than most people behind, so half of the race it was kind of no man's land for me.
Right.
Then there were multiple safety cars, and in the end, I was just lucky I was just behind watching Siggy trying to overtake Andrews for like 15 laps, and then he got a penalty.
So a nice bit of entertainment maybe, and then a little bit of a prize at the end, inheriting a P2. Still, very good job, and a very nice defensive drive at the start of the race. The Netherlands, do you like that circuit over Singapore?
Yeah, I like it a lot more. I don't like the curbs on this year's game, especially with the new cars. And I got my first win in Netherlands, I could say.
Yeah, you
So
did.
let's hope I can do that again.
Yeah, good memories, and hopefully we can carry on a very nice podium, and maybe, repeat history, I'll say. One last question, how would you describe your race in 3 words?
Watching Netflix.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, I don't know what to say. That was tough. Amazing qualifying, and a very great start. And then a nice gap. Unfortunately, the safety cars. I mean, that's it. It didn't go your way. Was it probably more that you expected Anders to pit? Possibly.
Right, okay. Sorry, I'm tired. Give me a moment.
It's all good.
No, this race is tough as hell anyway. If it was dry, we're sitting like mid-40s, but we're sitting a lap times 15 seconds slower, so it's so difficult to just race, and the fact that I even made it to lap 20, I was impressed. But I mean, me crashing here in a race is like 1 in 100. I mean, I never really expected it to happen, but I actually still get what, 6 points? You said.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, 8 points.
8 points, sorry, 8 points. So for 6, I get 8 points. So I'm still. I've lost a bit to Andrews, but I think overall I've gained on whoever was in second place.
I
So,
think Sidewinder.
oh,
think.
fair enough.
But still,
Oh,
damage limitation.
God, I could have got P3. I made a mistake out the corner and then I tried to put in too much power. And unluckily, I hit the tiniest little gap in the wall. You'll notice it, you might notice it on the stream, there's a little gap on the right hand side of the wall. If I would have just hit the wall, I probably would have lost my front wing. Would have got P4, wouldn't have been bad. But you know those little slits in the wall that you can hit, and yeah, ended me. And I wasn't even mad. It was just that you do the whole race, you got about 5 corners to go, and then that happens. So it's a shame, but I'm sure.
Heart
Well,
sinks.
no, I'm hard to think. I was just tired, so I just didn't have a reaction
Fair
to
enough. Fair enough. Not thinking about it too much. The Netherlands. I'm sure you're looking forward to trying get this race behind you. Do you like that circuit? Does the high downforce nature suit you?
Well, I'd say somewhat, but Netherlands, I don't know if I got a good track record around there, but I know Niffle, when he returns, he's going to have home crowd advantage, and he's going to pull away, he's going to do a Max Verstappen. I'll be little Valtteri Bottas hitting my fastest lap. And hopefully this time not taking out Sidewinder.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I hope it goes a little bit better for you there. So close, but unfortunately, it doesn't even matter. It's not going to be enough. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I miss Niffle.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. That race was a long one, and now you finally have a reason to explain where you learnt to use those fingers. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. And that has been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been it for the Singapore Grand Prix for the F1 tier. We'll see you tomorrow for the F1.5 EU Championship. Other than that, it's been a pleasure, and good night after an hour and 15 minutes.